Okay, let's jump right into Amos chapter 4 for this deep dive.
Right. And it really hits you from the start, doesn't it, with some incredibly blunt language.
It really does. God addressing, well, certain wealthy women in Samaria as cows of Bashan.
Wow, yeah. Cows of Bashan, that's a jarring phrase. What's the background there?
Well, Bashan, you see, was known for this incredibly fertile land. It produced these large, well-fed cattle.
Okay. So calling them cows of Bashan it's a sharp critique. Unflattering, obviously.
Exactly. It paints a picture of, a pampered, luxurious, maybe even gluttonous life, living it up on Mount Samaria.
And it connects that comfort directly to their actions, too. It says they oppress the poor and crush the needy.
Yeah, and they're constantly demanding drinks from their husbands. Bring us some drinks.
So it's not just about being wealthy. It's about using that position to exploit people while indulging themselves.
Precisely. And the underlying point seems to be that this kind of self-serving luxury, built on the backs of the poor, is just deeply offensive to God.
Right. And the chapter then lays out this progression. Because of the oppression and their refusal to turn back, judgment is coming. A stark confrontation.
So what's the immediate consequence, the prophecy for these women, and really the whole system?
It says they'll be taken away with hooks, like livestock or fish being caught.
Hooks. That sounds brutal.
It does. Dragged right out through breaks in the city wall, cast out toward Harmon. It suggests a really undignified capture and exile, stripped of everything.
Wow. But then the text sort of shifts gears, doesn't it?
Uh,
It gets sarcastic.
It really does.
Yeah.
Right after describing this grim fate, God challenges their religious activities.
Yeah, go to Bethel and sin. Go to Gilgal and sin yet more. And Bethel and Gilgal, these were major religious centers, right? Places for worship.
Exactly. Places you'd expect piety, but God is essentially saying, go on, double down on your empty rituals.
They were doing all the right things on the surface.
Yep.
Sacrifices every morning, tithes every 3 years.
Even burning leavened bread, which was unusual, and bragging about their free will offerings.
And the real kicker is God saying, for this is what you love to do.
The insight there is just striking. All that religious performance, utterly empty, maybe even sinful because it wasn't linked to justice or, a genuine return to God.
They loved the show of religion, not the substance.
Precisely. And because they stuck to this path, ignoring the warnings, God then details a series of escalating judgments, clear attempts to get their attention.
So he didn't just pronounce judgment, he actively tried to warn them, to turn them back.
Yes, multiple times. First, famine, real hunger, empty stomachs, lack of bread everywhere.
Then drought, manipulating the rain.
Yeah, sending rain on one town but not another. People were staggering around desperate for water and just couldn't get enough.
And their livelihoods, crops.
Destroyed, blight, mildew, locusts eating the figs and olives. Just one thing after another.
Followed by plagues, like the ones in Egypt.
Exactly like Egypt, killing young men, horses. The text even mentions a terrible stench from the dead. It's grim stuff.
And then outright destruction for some, like Sodom and Gomorrah. Others barely escaping.
Like a burning stick snatched from the fire, just barely saved.
And the really crucial part is that refrain after each disaster, isn't it?
It is. After the famine, the drought, the blight, the plague, the destruction, God says, "Yet you have not returned to me."
That repetition is powerful. It highlights their stubbornness, their refusal to see the connection.
It's the tragic core of it. Despite all these chances, all these wake-up calls, they just wouldn't turn back.
And because they didn't return, that's when the final declaration comes.
Yes. Because all the warnings failed, God says, "Prepare to meet your God, O Israel."
And that's not an invitation, is it? It sounds more like a summons.
Definitely a summons to judgment. And just to hammer home who they're about to face, the chapter ends by describing God's immense power.
Right. The one who forms mountains, creates wind, knows human thoughts, turns dawn into darkness, walks on the heights of the earth.
The Lord God Almighty, that's who they need to prepare for.
So bringing it all together for Amos 4, the message seems to be about these repeated, escalating warnings being completely ignored.
Yeah, the people just stubbornly refuse to change or return to God despite the consequences. So that refusal leads to this inevitable, direct confrontation.
Because they wouldn't prepare their hearts by returning, they're forced to prepare for judgment instead. A really stark picture.
It is, and it leaves you wondering, doesn't it?
It does. What does it mean for us, maybe personally or even collectively, when warnings seem to be ignored? How does that idea of needing to prepare to meet such a powerful just reality, how does that challenge you today?
Definitely something to think about.